One brings shadow, one brings the light. One more chapter we've yet to write. One for nothing, nothing denied. One dream ended, futures aligned. Hello guys. The time has come to finally start replaying the story of Final Fantasy XIV, Shadowbringers. Now, what happened last time? Last time we went to battle with the Garlemald army with our new pals of Alamigo and Doma, and unfortunately most of our friends got well, spirited away, shall we say. And now we are going to try to get them back. And the only clue we got is to look into the crystal tower. Now this has taken a bit time to find it. Even in that time, my pal Leo grew a beard. Huh? What do you think? Nice, huh? Well, anyway, let's begin. Alamigo is at last free from the Imperial rule, but that liberty may prove fleeting as the Empire moves to both reclaim this bloody nation and subjugate all Eorzea. In their hour of need, however, they cannot turn to the Warrior of Light, nor to the Scions, who yet slumber, their souls adrift. The realm is left to struggle without its saviors, for they have been beckoned beyond time and space, beckoned to the first. So where do we have to go? Back to the Rising Stones. Okay, here we are. What do you guys have to say? Oh, that kind of thing. Okay. You'll say the same thing as last time. Tataru? What news? Good news, Leo. We have a stroke of luck in our search for that beacon. Really? Apparently, our colleagues have stumbled across a hidden path leading down into the hollows around the base of the crystal tower. A path I doubt we'd never have found had the Ironworks and the Sons not added their numbers to the party. Thanks to them, we have eager eyes and plenty down there, checking out the rocks and peering into every nook and cranny. Still, it sounds like there's a lot of ground to cover. Well, then we'd better go and give them a hand. My thoughts exactly. The sooner we find this beacon, the sooner you can travel to whatever it is this mysterious voice is coming from. And the sooner we can work out how to help our friends. We have to find a way to wake them up, and before the Empire comes calling again, meaning we have no time to lose. There's a boat in North Silvertier waiting for ferry people to the side, so let's be on our way. there's the the new quest acceptance theme. Bow, 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 bow. Oh, I'm so excited to finally do this again. All of our journeys now come into this. Our first footsteps at the being an only adventurer, then becoming the warrior of light, then the savior of Ishgard, Alamigo and Doma. And now seems we are going to rescue another world.
Look how many people there are!
Yeah.
Should we get to it then? Pick up anything that seems the least bit device-like, and we'll make ourselves a pile.
Right.
Well, if it isn't the hero of the hour, maybe you'll change our look. We've found bugger all without you.
Hey, Biggs and Wedge.
Biggs! Wedge!
Aye, aye. Well, we could hardly say no to a call for aid from the Scions. Jesse called the chief of some other business, so we'll be working twice as hard to make up for his not being here.
Thrice as hard, even.
Thank you, both of you. I'm sure we'll find that beacon in no time.
I'm not seeing anything out here. Do you reckon you could squeeze in there, Wedge?
And get stuck halfway? No, thank you.
I could try if you like.
Tataru, no! We couldn't ask you to do that.
Oh, I'll be fine. This receptionist is not afraid to get her hands dirty.
Huh? Wait, what's that?
Sorry, I meant to say, the scholars haven't finished their preliminary assessment of the site yet, so we're not supposed to venture too far in. What's that you got there?
Check this
Now
out.
that looks promising.
Look, he has an ironworks insignia.
Isn't that the ironworks symbol? Counterfeiters?
No.
Now I have you.
You are right.
What's happening?
Stay with me. Focus on my voice. Let expanse contract. Eon become instant.
Wait, this must be it. The device. Oh, this is supposed to happen.
Throw wide the gates that we may pass.
Oh, safe journey, warrior of light. Find our friends and bring them home.
Here we go. Huh? This is familiar.
For showing me the dawn's light will shine again.
Oh, do not look at me so.
You're slaves to a tyrant. There's no freedom in that.
This is one battle you cannot fight. Away with you!
Spirited accounts always comes out.
We did everything right. Everything that was asked of us, and still it came to this.
What's that? Feels familiar.
Your time has not yet come. Oh, my head. Oh. Oof, so bright.
From endless dreams I awake. Something vague, yet urgent, calls me to action once more.
Well, there's something familiar. Hey.
Rare to meet someone out here who's not a peddler themselves.
What brings you into the wilds this time of night?
Night? What are you talking about? But it's bright as day.
Well, if it ain't the oldest joke in the book. Me granddad, God's rest his soul, used to tell that one to the barman at kicking out time. And when, pray tell, did we last have a dark night? You rotten old drunk, you, he'd reply.
Yeah.
Over 100 bleeding years ago, that's when.
100 years?
You got that look down to a T. I'd almost think you meant it. Ah, got to you, did they? Poor beggar. That explains it then.
No thanks, I don't drink.
Well, I've roads to travel and wares to sell, but you best hurry along to the town nearby. Just head east through the trees and aim for the Shining Tower. You'll find the place soon enough. 'Tis the biggest settlement for malms around. Go on now, friend. They'll take good care of you in the Crystarium.
The Crystarium? Okay, thanks.
Dizzying heights it rises, the gleaming spire, its tip threatening to pierce the blinding canopy. There, it will all begin anew, between dark and light, the pure and the corrupt, the one true struggle.
Halt! Every face in this city I know. Yours, I do not. This is the threshold of the Crystarium, stranger, and I am its gatekeeper. If you would enter, you will answer my questions. From where do you hail? Do you take me for a fool? No such place exists. Had you given me an honest answer, I would not have barred your way. We care little here for a person's place of origin. But instead, you chose concealment. And I will not suffer you to pass.
Sorry, I got a phone call. Yeah, whoa. Wait.
That one had eaten. It must have gulped down the whole hand. Ring and all.
The ring. Just saw it. Peddler.
Everything all right, Captain?
It's you.
Quite all right, my lord. Just a stray sin eater, and a weak one at that.
I see. Weak or not, we should be on the lookout for more. But I see you've met my guest. I will escort him to the Crystarium myself, if you've no objections.
Another of your mysterious friends, is it? I should have known. Very well. I'll inform the others your guest is to be given the run of the city. Pray forgive my less than cordial welcome. May the rest of your stay with us be a pleasant one.
Thank you.
Come with me. I will answer whatever questions you have when we are somewhere more private. Right then, before we plunge into the wheres and wherefores, let me first thank you for answering my summons. I had intended to bring you directly to my personal quarters, but I fear my aim was slightly off. That you are still able to make the crossing unharmed is a great relief. And so, we come to the question of where. The realm in which you now find yourself belongs to one of the 13 reflections, or shards. The first, to be precise, even if its inhabitants are largely oblivious to the fact.
I see.
As to wherefore, having been awarded the rather grandiose title of Crystal Exarch, I, in my capacity as caretaker of the Crystarium, thought to seek the aid of you and your companions.
By the way, do you have any idea how much trouble you've caused?
An inkling, yes. I can only beg your forgiveness. Matters here forced my hand. But all shall be explained in due course, I promise you.
Better be.
Let us begin with the glaring skies up above. Here in the first, the world has been all but consumed by primordial light.
What?
It began a century ago, by this realm's reckoning. A luminous flood swallowing everything in its path. More than 9/10 of this star was lost. And the fortunate few who survived are hounded by abominations born of that catastrophe even now.
Like that monster he met.
Sin Eaters, we call them. The creature you saw earlier was one such monstrosity.
I thought so.
It was to save the First from this menace that I learned to bridge the rift between worlds. That I might call upon the aid of the greatest of heroes. And though it meant depriving a world of its champion, I had to try, for in saving the First, you would bring salvation to the Source as well. But what manner of host harangues his guests in the middle of the road? Let us continue our talk within the Crystarium.
So this is this world's Crystal Tower.
Such a proud and vibrant city. The sole sanctuary for the living in a world all but resigned to oblivion. Each stone was laid with hope. The town itself a symbol, a monument to defiance in the face of death. No would-be hero could fail to answer its call. For who among us does not yearn for salvation?
Impressive. And here we are. Welcome, my friends, to the Crystarium. Now, a full and frank discussion in the privacy of my study would seem to be in order. But I think our conversation would be more meaningful were you first to gain a firmer grasp of the situation here. To that end, I would like you to visit a few of the Crystarium's civic leaders and glean something of this world and its predicament. As you can see, this path will take you directly to the Aetheryte, a convenience which I am sure you are only too familiar. Being the rightful object of my summoning spell, you should in theory be able to reach all the way back along your etheric trail and find a connection in the source, believe it or not. I strongly suggest you complete this attunement before venturing any further. After you've done so, walk up the steps next to the Aetheryte and head out to the left to arrive in the Crystalline Mean. This is where you'll find our collective of crafters and gatherers, as well as their spokeswoman, Catalyst, one of the people I should like you to meet. Another is Morin. To reach him and his cabinet of curiosity, you'll want to avoid the aforementioned steps, take the exit to the left, and simply continue straight along and down until you come to the large doors at the end of the path. The third and final person I should like you to meet is Bragi, our man in the charge of trade and distribution. He is to be found in the markets, which you can access to the opposite side of the Aetheryte Plaza. In seeking out each of my colleagues, you will visit the major districts of the city, and hopefully gain a feel of the place. I trust my directions were simple enough. Crystal clear. Very good, I concede. The layout of the Crystarium owes more to historic necessity than planning, but I'm sure you'll learn its twists and turns before long. In all honesty, the true challenge may be in finding the right way to approach its citizens. As you discovered during your encounter with the captain, the people of this world are unaware of the existence of the other stars, and will struggle to accept the truth of your origin. That being the case, when they ask whence you hail, as they inevitably will, I suggest you claim to share a homeland with the Crystal Exarch. There is an unspoken rule here about peering too deeply into any particular mystery. When you finish making the rounds, pray meet me in the large courtyard at the center of the town. Until then. Now, I will inform that this episode, it will only take about a couple hours, because unfortunately I'll be at work during this time, so I won't be able to make any large streams for a while. By focusing your senses, you detect a flow of vastly distant currents of ether. Your connection to these energies is faint but stable, and should allow teleportation to Aetherites in the source. Let's set the home point here. If to the unfortunate I somehow managed to pass out. Not feeling woozy at all? Like you're about to pass out? Hello. Rare to see a place so well stocked with goods, isn't it? But not here. I'm going to guess you're new to our fair city. Well, for what it's worth, you've chosen a fine sanctuary. The Exarch can throw up a barrier in this if the senators come knocking, so it's a damn sight safer in here than it's out there. Safer and more civilized too, thanks to us in the mean. We work together to procure materials and resources, and craft the goods which make the city life possible. This is the place to visit if you need a coat mended or a kettle forged. Just don't go thinking you'll be handed to you on a plate like those Yulmore and layabouts. Here in the Crystarium, we work for a living. Though I see you're no stranger to honest labor, you don't have to whiff or indolence about you, like some folk I've met. Still, I can't quite pin down your profession. Where is it you're from? I'm from where Crystal Exarch is. One of the Exarch's countrymen, you say? I see. Well then, I'll work twice as hard to make you feel welcome. Our city wouldn't exist if it weren't for him, and any friend of his is a friend of ours. It's really quite incredible when you think about it. They say this grand magic summoned the Crystal Tower into existence. Pulled the entire thing out of thin air. It wasn't long before droves of refugees began congregating around its base, desperate to shelter after losing their homes to the flood. And that's how the Crystarium began. At the Exarch's invitation, buildings started growing up, and with the help of some curious relics brought forth from the tower, the place gradually expanding to the thriving metropolis you see today. The city stood here for decades now, yet the eldest among us swear the Exarch looks exactly the same as he did back then. He is indeed a man of many mysteries, but for all his secrecy, he has never yet let us down. So if he, and you, wish to remain silent about your shared homeland, then the folk here will respect your wish for privacy. I am, however, more than a little curious to see any crafting talent you may be hiding. If you are to contribute to that front, you're sure to come back and visit once you have a chance to settle in. Just ask for Catalyst, and I'll find you a niche here in the crystalline mean. You can help us keep the cogs of the city greased and turning. Right. Now let's go to the Cabinet of Curiosity, which I should be able to using this Ethernet shard. Yes. Up these stairs. Excuse me, sir. Are you recently come to the city, perchance? I'm quite familiar with our civic roles, you see, and, well... what I mean to ask is, have you brought any books with you? A rumbled scroll, even? A scribbled on parchment? Why? My apologies. Literature is something of an obsession of mine, as well as a profession. Librarian Morin at your service, and this humble collection is known as the Cabinet of Curiosity. As your powers of perception have likely informed you, my colleagues and I are responsible for curating all manner of tomes, documents, and other vehicles of the written world. As horrific as the loss of life and land wrought with all the flood unquestionably was, the damage to recorded knowledge was no less catastrophic. We few do all we can to preserve what wisdom survived. But tell me, what brings you to the cabinet today? Looking for any title in particular? May have a spot of academic research? Oh, so you're an interest in modern history. Splendid! A thorough review of recent events can often yield novel perspectives. I quite agree. If you would prefer something visual to accompany the account, then I think I have an illustrated history book for children somewhere. Just a moment and I'll fetch it for you. Well, visual aids are always nice. And here we are. Would you like to pull up a chair? Make yourself more comfortable. With a lesson then. 100 years ago, or near enough not to matter, villains known as the Warriors of Light slew the Shadow Keeper, the Steward of Darkness. In the wake of this tainted deed, light began to pour into the world as if from unseen cracks. It pooled and swelled without cease, until the day an enormous, blinding wave rose up and swept across our star. We call this calamity the Flood of Light. Everything it touched was leech of life and vigor, leaving naught behind but a luminous wasteland. Yet just when it seems all would be lost, a savior appeared before us. The Oracle of Light. She stood twixt us and approaching doom, and by her power did she stay the flood. Thus was Northrend, and Northrend alone, spared the fate of erasure. Tragedy would, however, arrive in another form. From the blasted emptiness descended horrors of strange and terrible aspects of bedevil the few folk who survived. These sin-eaters were light incarnate, and their fulgent presence stole the nights from Northrend's sky. Even now, they circle the remaining bastions of civilization, ever to hunt for us, ever hungering for our flesh. And thus did the world become what it is. Should you ever wish to hear the tale again, I will be glad to retell it for you. Or if you would rather I speak of the other matters, that too will be my pleasure. I shall be glad to have the company. Thank you, Morin. So that's the history. On the note, I really enjoyed this side of a story. Like, they always talk about the overflowing of darkness, but never about overflowing with light. Like, what happens when a world is nothing but light? So this is the marketplace. Ragi. A lion bro. New to the city, friend. The spinning hair and white eyes give you away. Welcome. My name is Bragi, and I'm the master of these markets. They gave the district another, official title, but I'm not in the habit of using it. Too florid by half. In any case, our merchants stock a range of equipment for Ronso like you and me, so finding something in your size shouldn't be a problem. Ronso? I'm actually a Hrothgar. Must be a dialect I'm not familiar with. Look there. Let's see if we can straighten this out. See those two in front of us? The shorter one is a hume, and the taller one is an elf. The sturdy individual over there is a Galgant, while it's the one with the horns is a Darn. It's a Drawn. And then you have the large scaly chaps with long tails and knack for raising livestock. This would be the Zoon. Which is apparently not the same you know when you know them by now. Which is apparently not the name you know them by. Now I'm curious to know which far-flung region you hail from. From where Crystal Exarch is. The same as Exarch, huh? Well, that explains it. You don't get much further flung like that. We had a few of you lot passed through in recent years, and despite their obvious learning, they flounder over the simplest things. But not to worry. Should you find yourself confused by the local languages or customs, I'll be here to answer your questions. Thank you. So, Hrothgar in this world is Ronso. Just like the animal people in Final Fantasy X, the Ronso. And there's the Exarch. Well, how'd you fare? Did my colleagues help you from a clearer picture of this world and its people? Well, you know about the life, the flood of lights, and the people. Yes, it seems you were treated to a most thorough introduction. I understand it was something of a core, sure, but it was necessary that you grasp these things before we proceed. As for the Crystal Tower's origin, you may have noted the details were sparse. The structure is, in fact, the selfsame one you know from the source, transported to the first in its entirety. It was my first attempt at breaching the boundaries between worlds, something of a trial run for your eventual crossing. And although I did not know which era I tore it from, I do know that its arrival served to set the wheels of fate in motion. Really? You've done as I requested, and learned something of the world with you find yourself. Now it's time I fulfill my half of the bargain, and explain what has befallen your comrades. That is a conversation I will rather have in the privacy of my quarters. However, I must go ahead to the tower and organize a few things, but I shall see that the guard knows to admit you. Just like that, then Rahatia is... I'm not familiar with that name. Is there something I should know? An extraordinary tale, but I'm afraid I found no such individual residing in the tower when it passed into my care. Maybe we can revisit that mystery another time. For now, I think it's best that we focus on the present. So he doesn't know who Rahatia is.
Welcome to the Ocular, my private study. We can speak here without fear of being overheard. I have much to explain, but the truths which I must touch upon in doing so would cause only distress and confusion to the people of this world. Pray keep that in mind.
Alright.
Now, I am sure you are desperate to know the fate of your fellow Scions. To put it simply, they are here in the First. Their arrival, however, was not as recent as you may imagine. Here, time flows at a different pace from that of the Source. In the space of a single hour in your home world, an entire year might pass in the First, and the reverse could also be true. The pace fluctuates without rhyme or reason, and it cannot be predicted.
Huh. Interesting.
That said, we seem to be entering a period of near equivalence. And thus, for the moment, you need not overly concern yourself with the passage of time. As for your companions, however, Y'shtola and Urianger have dwelt here for 3 winters, all told, while Thancred's count stands at 5. Even our more recent arrivals, Alphino and Alize, have lived in the First for almost a year.
Really? Huh.
My intention had been to summon only you, but the art of reaching across worlds has proven exceedingly difficult to master. Thus it was that my fumbling hand closed upon those to whom your fate is most closely bound as well. As they were not the object of my summons, their transference was incomplete. Though they may appear to possess corporeal bodies, they are, in truth, merely spirits that one can see and touch.
Huh.
Consequently, while you yourself will be able to pass between worlds with relative freedom, they will not. Much as it grieves me, they are stranded here, unable to return.
No. Then, well, what had they been doing all this time?
We spent every waking hour searching for a way to reverse the summoning. In the beginning, at least. As you may have surmised, however, our efforts met with little success. And then we all but abandoned the endeavor once Urianger shared with us the vision he had witnessed during his journey through the rift.
What vision?
In that chaotic no-man's land between realms, time and space warp and blend in unexpected ways. What Urianger saw was the future. That which would one day come to pass. In his vision of tomorrow, the first was rejoined with the source. This collision of worlds brought about the 8th umbral calamity and the deaths of countless multitudes. Amongst those who perished, Urianger clearly saw the fall of the Scion's mightiest champion. He watched you die.
What?
And thus did the Scions embrace their exile, and began searching this world for a means to forestall the coming catastrophe in yours. Their souls are stranded in the first, yes, but they have fought on, desperate to save their home and you from destruction. Nor have their efforts been in vain, for it was they who finally established that the elimination of the Sin Eaters will indeed serve to prevent the calamity. Considering these circumstances of our meeting, you would be forgiven for doubting my version of events. And so, before all else, I would suggest you track down your comrades and hear the tale from their lips. I shall of course be happy to assist in these reunions, and you need not make any decisions regarding your involvement until you are certain of where you stand. Meanwhile, I promise I will not rest until I have found a way to help your friends return home. What say you? Have I earned your trust for the moment, at least?
Well, yeah, But I'll see you keep that promise.
Excellent. You will not regret this. With that settled, we shall have to see about getting you ready for the road. Traveling across the rift has no doubt left you weary. I will arrange for a room where you might rest in comfort. While it's being prepared, perhaps I can show you around.
So that's the story. Crystarium boasts a number of residential districts, but I've been informed that a room has just become available at the Pendants. Which, as it turns out, is perfect. Our path there will take us past the markets. I was hoping to give you my own introduction to the wares. Come along.
This is the Musica Universalis, the commercial heart of the Crystarium. What you might need to prepare for your journeys can be purchased here. Ah, yes. You must be curious about the currency. Fear not. The gil you carry will serve you well enough.
Oh, good.
Each nation once minted its own coins, but 'twas all a jumbled mess following the flood. After much debate, the local merchants eventually elected to revert to the old ways, wherein a coin's value was decided by the worth of its metal. As for a unit of measurement, we agreed upon the term gil, a word borrowed from coins uncovered within the Crystal Tower here. And as our traders peddled their wares across the land, so too did our usage of gil become common practice. From what your stola tells me, a standard coin from the source equates to exactly 1 gil here, or near enough not to matter. Our way of life has benefited greatly from the artifacts we recovered from the tower, some of which may be familiar to you.
What do you mean? Tombstones? Huh?
But I fear it would not be practical for us to provide everything to which you are accustomed. You shall need a means to access the commodities of your homeworld. Avan Kerm Sin?
What did you say?
Yes, I'm here! Of course I'm here! What amusements do you have for me today?
Oh, hello.
My dear Feo Ul, paragon of pixie kind. For you, I have the most vital task. This fine gentleman is a friend from a distant realm. And we have need of a means to ferry things back and forth from his home. Might you be able to assist us in this matter?
You came from beyond, didn't you? From beyond the rift?
Yes.
How wonderfully exciting! What a brave and reckless and marvellous thing you did! You've the heart of a pixie, you do. After careful consideration, I have decided to grant you my assistance. Make a pact with me and the fun can begin. But answer me this, traveller. Did your garments come with you when you crossed over? Your teeth? Your nails?
I mean... it seems everything's fine.
Just as I thought! Then you've a good stout connection with your home through which all your belongings, great and small, may easily pass. From this moment forth I will be your Isnefis, and you my Snayak. Like the branch which sprouts from the sapling, our bond will flow unbroken from one to the other. Raise your hand.
Okay. High five. Huh?
'Tis done. We are bound now, dearest sapling. Come then. Make your request. Tell me your desire. I wish to visit this world of yours.
Mayhap a message to your friends in the Source to inform them of your safe arrival.
Right. Well, send a message. Let's send a message to Tataru.
Consider it done.
As you heard, that was Feo Ul of the Pixies. Their kind possess an affinity for magic akin to that of arcane beings. They rarely show themselves in populated areas, but Feo is insatiably curious even by pixie standards, and seems to have taken a liking to the Crystarium. Right, we were going to organize a room for you, weren't we? Come along.
Mm-hmm. As a result of your pact with Fe'ul, you now have access to delivery moogles, market boards, and summoning bells while in the First. That was interesting. We made a pact with a fairy. Or in this case, a pixie. Ah, there you are. I was just finalizing the matter of your accommodation. You'll have a private room here at the Pendants for the duration of your stay, to make use of you as you see fit. When you are ready to retire, the manager will show you to your lodgings. Pray rest and recuperate, and we shall reconvene in the ocular anon. I believe that covers all the practical concerns. Thank you for answering my call, Leo. We're denied the comforting blanket of night, but may peaceful dreams attend you nonetheless. A pleasure to meet you, sir, and welcome to your new home at the Pendants. Your room is ready, if you care to retire. Yes, please. Looks nice. Comforting. Let's see the view. Huh? You?
I know you. You're the warrior of light from the source.
The warrior of darkness?
What? Did you just... You can hear me?
Yes?
Oh, gods, how long has it been? That was what I called myself in your world. The warrior of darkness. My real name is Ardbert. I used an alias in the source. A daft one, looking back.
Ardbert?
If you recall my tale, it was my comrades and I who caused the flood. We thought our home doomed. And so we listened to the Ascians. Let them guide us to the source, and try to hasten their goddamned ardor. I remember when we fell, defeated by you and yours. I remember our audience with Minfilia. How she listened to our pleas, and returned our souls to the First. The flood was poised to swallow Norvrant. Minfilia and my friends, they surrendered what little they had left to hold it back. Just faded away. Leaving me to bear witness. Tell me, do you know the year? How much time has passed since we caused the flood?
Well, according to them, it's been 100 years.
100 100 years. 100 long years. My hands find no purchase. My gestures catch no eye, and my pleas, be they whispered or screamed, reach not a single ear. I am a shade, cursed to do naught but drift. I feel as if I've been walking forever. I hardly noticed when my mind and body began to fray at the edges. Then bang! My senses were sharp again. I felt like a fish being reeled in, and before I knew it, I found myself in this room. Why is it that you can see me? What are you even doing here, come to that?
Well, I was summoned here.
You were summoned to save the First.
Yeah.
A waste of time. This world is beyond saving, like those who tried to save it. Muddled as my mind may be, I've not forgotten that. But if fate has brought me to you, the one person in this God's forsaken world who can see and hear me, then perhaps there is a reason I endured. If I can find out why I was left behind, then maybe I can bring this journey of mine to an end. Well, I'll be watching, Warrior of Light. But do me a favor. Be careful out there. This world has had its fill of heroes.
Heartbird. Alright, that was that. Back to see XIV again. Yes, thank you, let me in.
Ah, how did you find your new quarters? I trust you were able to rest?
Well enough, thank you.
That is good to hear. Should you want for anything, pray let me know. Now, let us return to the subject of the Scion's whereabouts. This map shows the lands of Norvrand, the only area to be spared the Flood of Light.
Okay.
The Crystarium is here, in the region known as Lakeland. To the north is the fairy kingdom of Il-Meg. That is where you'll find Urianger.
Okay.
To the east lies the once prosperous civilization of Rak-Tika. Your Stola is stationed there, in the heart of the forest. Alas, neither location can be reached without considerable difficulty. As such, I would suggest you first seek out one of the twins, each of whom is stationed but a short flight from the Crystarium.
Okay.
Alphino is on Calusia, an island off the western shore. It is home to a city called Yulmore, where the rich and privileged while away their days in idleness. For his part in furthering our cause, Alphino journeyed there to meet with the citizenry and forge alliances. From what I hear, he has since kept himself busy gathering information around the main settlement. Alize, meanwhile, traveled south to the arid wastes of Armareng. They lie upon the very edge of the inhabitable world, where the flood of light was halted. Those who dwell there live in constant fear of attack by the Sin Eaters. In contrast to her brother, Alize felt that her energies would better be spent learning about the enemy, and thus she sells her services as a guard, both to hone her skills and gather information on our foe.
Oh, they kept themselves busy.
So, will it be Calicia or Armareng? It matters not which you choose to visit first. Simply inform me once you have made your decision, and I will see to it that you are provided with a suitable mount. Ah, but you must be wondering about Thancred. He has taken up with a new companion, and is presently engaged as a wandering hunter of Sin Eaters.
Okay.
Being ever on the move, his whereabouts are often difficult to ascertain, but I am certain your paths will cross ere long.
Okay. Well, whom we shall search for is gonna be next time. Like I said, I'm sorry, but these are gonna be much more shorter episodes than the old ones, because now my new duties in the job, I don't have much time to do all these in long settings, unless on weekends or when I have free time. But then I'll see you next time.